Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do assignment number 3, where you're going to lay out a couple of nature articles. When you open up the slides, your Google Slides, you'll see that I have links for these folders in here. I'm going to show you how to do the panther article, and then you can do the manatee article also, doing the same thing that we do in this one. So I'm going to open up this panther folder here and explain the files that are in here. So this first one here is a template, and that is going to be you're going to put that in the background if you want, and then you can lay things out on top of it. The panther and the palms and the nature logo are the images that you're going to use, and the PDF over here just shows you what the final assignment should look like. And then these two files here, this is what I want you to start with. Now they're both the same thing, but this is an Adobe InDesign 2020 file. So if you can, start with that one. If you don't have 2020 on your computer at school, then you can just use this IDML, which is an older InDesign file. So either one of those should be your starting point. So I am going to show you how to get started. So first of all, download all this to your computer and your drive so that you can work with these files. So I'm going to start off with these InDesign documents. Like I said, either open this one or this one. They're both the same thing. It's just that one is newer than the other. So when you do that, this is what the document looks like. So it has all the text for the article that we're going to arrange and format to look like the PDF that I show you as an example. So speaking of that, let me go back to that real quick, and let's open up this PDF. This is what your article should look like when you're done. So you'll have this green and orange bars. You'll arrange the text like this and put the photos, and of course type your name on the bottom right when you're done. So that's what the final article should look like. So we'll leave that open so you can refer to it. Let's go back to InDesign. Okay, so when you first open this up, you're going to see like there's a bunch of guidelines and text boxes everywhere. Make sure that you have your Layers tab open. I have this control strip over here where it lets me open and close my layers. But if you don't have that, you can go to Window and choose Layers to open it. So we need to have Layers open. The other tab that we're going to use a lot is Color. I already have mine over here in this bar, but you can go to Window and choose Color and Color again to open that. So when I want to open it and close it, I can do it from there. I'm not sure how your computer will be set up, but if you ever need to open either one of those, just go to Window and open it from there. Okay, I'm going to go back to Layers and have that open. I also have my workspace set on Essentials, so I have the Properties is open all the time because you'll use that a lot. And the other thing I have on my window is I have this control strip at the top. I like to use that a lot in InDesign. If you don't have yours open, you can go to Window and make sure it's checked. So when it's off, it looks like that. When it's on, it looks like that. So I do a lot of entering things up here, but you can also do it on Properties. So they're both the same option. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is our layers. So right now you'll see that it just says layer 1. If I turn this off and on, you can see that I have all my text, and I have some guidelines that I put in there for you. I'm going to name this layer. So if you right click on that and get this open, and I'm going to call this text. So all my text is going to be in this layer, and I'm going to have other things in another layer. So let's go and make a new layer. So click this plus, and let's right click on that, and let's call this layer template. And what we're going to do is grab it and pull it down here below the text. Okay, and let's go ahead and put a template. I made a template for you to help you lay this article out. You don't have to put it in here if you don't want, but I think it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so to get a picture in InDesign, you either need to go to File, Place, and locate the file and place it, or you can open it up in Photoshop and then copy and paste it in. So either way is fine. I'm going to do Place, but what you have to remember about Place is that you always have to keep the photos and your InDesign document in the same folder so that they don't, because they're just linked and they won't be able to find each other if you don't keep them in the same folder. So mine are, so I'm going to go ahead and say Place. and I'm going to choose the template, Panther 4 template. And when I do that, you'll see that it gives me like this little thumbnail. Before I click anywhere, make sure that you're not clicking on a text box or something like that. I tend to just click on mine just off the window a little bit so that it doesn't insert it into a text box. So I click that, and then I can get my selection tool at the top and drag it and line it up like this. And then I am going to lock it. That way, no matter what, I can't select it. It's not going to mess me up. And if I want to turn it off, like if it's bothering me, I can just turn this little eyeball icon off. So now I have a template to kind of see where things need to go, and I can just turn it on and off as needed. So let me start off by doing some of the text formatting. So let's go up here to the text and start moving things around a little bit. So I'm going to just kind of get this out of the way. You can drag your text boxes by the corner to change the size of them. And let's go ahead and put this one over here. Now I can see that on my template that the font is about that same size. It's a different color, but I'm not going to change the color on it yet until I start getting my images in there too. So for now, I'm just going to make my text box line up so that it kind of fits that, and then I'm going to grab it over here by the side and do that. So it looks like my text is pretty close. Yeah, that is close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that as far as these bullets go. Okay, I see one thing that needs to be changed on here. I think there needs to be a return right there. So go where it says at birth and click that. There we go. So now it's lining up better. And I also see that when you have a text box and it has this red plus and a square on the bottom right, it means that some of the text is getting cut out of the window. So what you need to do when that happens is to grab the text box and pull it down and make it bigger. All right, now there's a chance that your font will not line up exactly like that on your computer. The font that I'm using is Times. So if the times in your school computers are different, it might not line up exactly like that. But if you want to change the size and font, you just select it and you can do it over there, which we did that in our last assignment. Which brings me to this. So the did you know, I have that a lot bigger over here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to change this to bold because I had that as Times bold. Whoops, not italic. Bold. And obviously it's a lot bigger, so I can go over here to the text size and I can just click on this up arrow until it gets bigger. Now it's about the same size, so I'm going to get my selection tool and use the arrow keys on my keyboard to just nudge that up a little bit. Alright, so that box is looking pretty good. Let's go and work on some of these other ones. So if we take this text box and grab it by the corner and move it so that it lines up with the template, something like that. Now you'll see that on this I had it going around the logo. I'm going to do that last. So at first your text isn't going to line up at the very bottom, but we're going to do that part last. So I can tell that this text here is bigger, so I'm going to click on my text. You can either drag and get all of it, or you can just click anywhere in there and do Control A to select all of it. And then once again I'm going to go over here to the size and make it, looks like it was about that size, which is 13 points. And then I know that this was bolder, so I'm going to select just that and change it from regular to bold, and then get my selection tool and move it down just a little bit. Okay, I can see that it doesn't line up exactly the same. I think looks like my leading is a little bit different, so I'm going to select that text. So get the text tool again, drag it over here, and then just change the leading, which we learned that already. It's the space between lines of text. So if I click this down arrow a little bit, it'll start to pull it up just a tad. And let's check that. Okay, so now that text is lining up pretty close to what the template was before. So we'll go ahead and leave that. And then let's fix this text box here. Let's drag it to be about the size that the other one is, and let's make it a little smaller and pull it down here. So let's select all that text and start to make it bigger so that it looks like it's about the same size. Let's try that. Take this and move it up here. Okay, so that looks pretty close. I need to make this text box a little bit smaller though. That's one thing I noticed is I don't want to get it too close to that edge there. So let's pull this in a little bit. Okay, now we're getting a lot better. And I notice I need to do that down here. Let's pull this text box in because we don't want it to quite touch this area right there. Make it a little bit smaller. I think that's good enough. It doesn't fit the other text exactly, but like I said, that's not totally important. As long as there's some space between the end of this text box and this picture here. All right, now let's go do the headline text. Let's make this text box smaller and then make it wider. Go over here and let's start off with the very top. Obviously that is a lot bigger and bolder, so let's make it bold. And then let's make it, instead of clicking those arrows, it's so much bigger, I'm just going to put in 40. That's a little bit too big maybe. Let's go to 35. Needs to be a little more than that. Now I can start clicking the arrows until it gets a little bigger. Okay, and then get my selection tool. Let's move it down. That fits pretty good. All right, now let's get the subheadline. Take my cursor, select it. Now obviously the leading needs to be increased so it moves down. So let's go over here to the leading and click this up arrow to make it bigger. And the font needs to be bold. And it needs to be bigger. So I'm going to keep clicking this up arrow until it gets bigger. Let's take a look at that. All right, I think I'm going to make the leading just a little bit more, so I'm going to select that one more time, go over here to the leading and bump that down a little more. Bingo. Okay, so now we have all the text formatted the way the template is, and the next thing I'll show you is how to change the color and add the photos and the logo.